There comes a moment when a woman understands something subtle, almost uncomfortable. Real desire is never created by chasing, explaining, or proving. It is created by presence, and by the quiet courage to withdraw that presence without bitterness, without drama, without games. Take a slow breath, because what we are speaking about now is not strategy. It is not manipulation. It is an energetic truth that has always existed, long before rules, advice, or modern ideas of relationships. For a long time, you were taught that closeness must be maintained through effort, that if you step back, everything will fall apart. That distance means loss, and so you stayed emotionally available even when you were tired. You responded even when your body asked for rest. You gave clarity even when silence would have protected you. But here is the truth most women are never told. A man does not miss what is always accessible. He misses what has weight. As Carl Jung said, what is truly alive in us is what can withdraw and return transformed. And this applies not only to the psyche, but to connection itself. When your energy is always open, always accommodating, always reaching, it loses contour. And without contour, there is nothing to long for. Desire does not grow in excess, it grows in space. This is where subtle distance begins, not as punishment, not as coldness, but as self-respect taking form. You are not pulling away to make him anxious. You are pulling back because you are returning to yourself. And something remarkable happens when you do this. Your presence begins to feel different. Your silence is no longer empty, it becomes felt. Your absence is no longer passive, it becomes noticeable. Not because you disappeared, but because you stopped overextending your emotional field. In Jung's view, the unconscious responds before the conscious mind understands. A man may not be able to name what changed, but his nervous system will register it immediately. He senses that access is no longer automatic, that your attention is no longer guaranteed, that your energy is no longer flowing outward without discernment. And this does not reduce attraction, it refines it. Because subtle distance is not rejection, it is boundaries becoming visible. You are still warm, still open, still feminine, but now you are contained. And containment creates gravity. This is the beginning of him missing you, not because you vanished, but because you finally stopped leaking yourself into places that did not hold you with equal care. This is only the first shift. And already, something inside you is remembering who you were before you tried so hard to be chosen. What most people misunderstand is this. Distance does not create loss, emptiness does. And there is a profound difference between the two. When you withdraw your energy consciously, you are not creating a void. You are creating form, a shape, a rhythm, something the other person must now orient toward rather than consume unconsciously. For years, you may have been emotionally present even when your inner world felt exhausted. You stayed engaged, responsive, available, believing this was loyalty, care, devotion. But what you were actually doing was dissolving your own energetic boundaries. And without boundaries, the psyche relaxes too much. Carl Jung observed that the unconscious values tension, not chaos, but polarity. Presence gains meaning only when it can also be absent. Light is perceived because there is shadow. Nearness is felt because there is distance. This is why subtle distance works, and games never do. Games are loud. They provoke resistance. They smell of control. But energetic distance is quiet. It doesn't demand reaction. It invites awareness. When you stop explaining yourself unnecessarily, when you pause instead of rushing to respond, when you choose rest over overgiving, something changes in the emotional field. A man may not say it out loud, but he feels a shift in orientation. His attention no longer rests passively on you. It moves toward you. He begins to notice gaps, silences, pauses, and instead of feeling abandoned, something deeper awakens. Curiosity, alertness, presence. Not because you are withholding affection, but because you are no longer abandoning yourself. This is where respect begins. Respect is not forced. It emerges when another person senses that your inner world is governed by you, not by their needs, moods, or availability. In Jung's view, individuation begins the moment a person stops organizing their life around external validation. And when a woman individuates, her energy changes. It becomes grounded, centered, less reactive. And this grounded energy does something powerful. It cannot be taken for granted. He begins to feel that being close to you requires attentiveness, that staying connected means showing up consciously, that your presence is not a constant background noise, but a living encounter. This is not punishment. This is not strategy. This is maturity. And here is the paradox. The more whole you become within yourself, the less you need to pull away, because your very presence now contains distance. You are no longer chasing closeness. You are inhabiting yourself. And from this place, missing you becomes inevitable, because what you offer now is not availability, but depth. This is where desire begins to rise, quietly, involuntarily, and with respect. And we are only just beginning. There is a fragile moment in every emotional dynamic, the moment when you stop reaching first. Not dramatically, not angrily, simply quietly. You no longer rush to fill silence. You no longer anticipate his moods. You no longer soften yourself to maintain harmony. And this moment feels dangerous at first, because for so long, your presence functioned like emotional gravity, holding the connection together even when the other side drifted. But now you let go, not of him, of the compulsion to hold everything. This is where the shift becomes undeniable. Carl Jung wrote that what we over-identify with loses its vitality. And for many women, connection became an identity rather than an exchange. You were the understanding one, the patient one, the emotionally available one. And when you step out of that role, the system destabilizes, not destructively, but truthfully. A man begins to feel something unfamiliar. He must now participate. Before, the relationship moved forward on your emotional momentum. You asked the questions. You bridged the gaps. You repaired the silence. You sensed when something was off and adjusted yourself accordingly. But when you stop doing this, space appears. And space demands response. At first, he may feel slightly unsettled. Not abandoned, unsettled. Because the emotional environment no longer adapts automatically to him. He feels the absence of emotional cushioning. And this is where awareness begins. He starts to notice when you are not as immediately available. When your voice carries less explanation and more certainty. When your energy feels present, but no longer circling him. This is not distance as withdrawal. This is distance as self-occupation. And it changes how he experiences you. In Jungian terms, you stop projecting your life force outward and begin containing it. When this happens, the other person encounters you not as an extension of themselves, but as a separate, sovereign psyche. And sovereignty creates respect, because now, closeness must be chosen, not assumed. He begins to feel that connection with you requires intention. That access to your inner world is not automatic, not guaranteed, not endlessly forgiving. And something ancient awakens in him here. Men respond deeply to what cannot be possessed without presence. Not because they want control, but because their psyche is wired to engage where effort matters. You are no longer emotionally on call. And paradoxically, you become more desirable. Because now, he must move toward you instead of leaning on you. This is the moment many women fear, because it exposes the truth. If he does not move closer, it reveals that the connection was sustained mostly by your energy. And painful as that realization may be, it is also liberating. Jung believed that clarity, though uncomfortable, is always healing. Because illusions drain us far more than truth ever could. But when a man does move closer, when he becomes more attentive, more deliberate, more aware, it is not because you played a role. It is because you stopped playing one. Your subtle distance gave him something real to respond to. And now, his desire is no longer passive. It is awakened. not by fear, not by insecurity, but by recognition. He senses that your presence is no longer something he can drift in and out of without consequence, that you are not waiting to be activated, that your life continues, grounded, meaningful, full. And in that realization, missing you becomes inevitable, because he is no longer missing attention. He is missing you, the woman who is present without overextending, the woman who is warm without being available to depletion, the woman who stands in herself rather than leaning into him. This is not loss of intimacy. This is the restoration of polarity. And from here, everything changes. We are moving deeper. There is a precise moment when subtle distance crosses an invisible threshold. It is the moment when your absence begins to weigh more than your presence ever did before. Not because you disappeared, but because you stopped compensating. You no longer soften his inconsistency. You no longer translate his silence into excuses. You no longer carry the emotional rhythm of the connection alone. And this is when something fundamental shifts inside him. Carl Jung believed that the psyche reacts most strongly not to what is spoken, but to what is withdrawn. When a familiar source of emotional nourishment changes its flow, the unconscious panics slightly, not in fear, but in awareness. He begins to feel the difference in his body. The conversations feel shorter. The pauses feel longer. Your attention feels more selective. And suddenly, he realizes something he never had to consider before. Your presence was never infinite. Before, your energy filled the gaps effortlessly. If he pulled back, you leaned forward. If he became vague, you clarified. If he hesitated, you reassured. The relationship always found balance, because you were the balance. But now, equilibrium requires his participation. And this is deeply confronting, because now, when he withdraws, the space remains. When he delays, the silence stands. When he offers less, the connection reflects exactly that. No more, no less. This is not cruelty. This is honesty. And honesty is felt as intensity. In Jung's terms, this is the moment projection collapses. He can no longer unconsciously rely on you to stabilize his emotional field. He has to encounter himself inside the relationship. And many men experience this as missing you. Not missing your messages, not missing your reassurance, but missing the feeling of being met. Because you are no longer meeting him halfway alone. And here is the crucial truth. If he does not step forward now, it is not because you stepped back. It is because he never intended to step forward at all. This is why subtle distance is never manipulative. It does not create false desire. It reveals real capacity. When you stop filling the emotional space, you create a mirror. And in that mirror, a man sees either his willingness or his limits. If he is capable of depth, he feels the pull immediately. He becomes more attentive, more thoughtful, more intentional. He senses that closeness with you is no longer something that happens automatically. It must be chosen. But if he is not capable, he feels irritated, confused, or detached. Because what he misses is not you. It is the comfort of being carried. And this distinction matters. Jung said that relationships are the fastest path to self-confrontation. And this is that moment. You are no longer soothing discomfort that does not belong to you. Your calm becomes unsettling, not because it is cold, but because it is complete. You are not waiting. You are not testing. You are not withdrawing to provoke. You are simply living inside yourself again. And that is when he feels the true cost of your absence, not as punishment, but as consequence. Because when a woman stops organizing her emotional life around a man, he finally understands her value. Not intellectually, energetically. He feels it when he reaches, and you are no longer automatically there. He feels it when he realizes that your attention must now be earned through presence, not assumed through habit. This is when missing you turns into respect, and respect is what makes desire last. We are approaching the core now. There is a point where desire stops being stimulated by availability and begins responding to orientation. And this is where many women misunderstand what actually creates longing. Desire does not grow when you move towards someone endlessly. It grows when the other person has to turn toward you. When you stop chasing closeness, something subtle but irreversible happens. The direction of emotional movement changes. Before, your energy flowed outward. You checked in. You adjusted. You sensed his distance and tried to close it. Even when you were calm on the surface, your inner posture leaned toward him. Now, your posture changes. You are no longer leaning. You are standing. Carl Jung described this as the moment when libido, psychic energy, returns to the self. And when this happens, the psyche becomes radiant rather than dispersive. A woman who is centered in herself does not ask to be desired. She becomes something to move toward. And this is why games never work in the long term. Games try to control behavior. Energy shifts change orientation. He feels that you are no longer waiting for emotional confirmation, that your mood does not rise and fall with his presence, that your inner life continues, intact, grounded, alive. And this touches something deep inside him. Because now, if he wants closeness, he must step forward. He must initiate presence, not react to availability. He must choose engagement rather than drift into it. And this is where respect enters desire. Men do not respect what they can access without intention. They respect what requires awareness. You are no longer asking for his attention, and that is precisely why his attention sharpens. He begins to notice details he overlooked before. The tone of your voice, the way you no longer over-explain, the calm certainty in your boundaries. This is not emotional distance. This is emotional density. And density creates gravity. In Jung's view, attraction intensifies when the unconscious senses something autonomous, something that cannot be absorbed or merged with easily. Your subtle distance tells his psyche, this woman exists independently of me. And independence is magnetic, because now, being with you is not about comfort, it is about encounter. If he is mature, he rises here. He becomes more present, more deliberate. He begins to invest emotionally not because he fears losing you, but because he recognizes your value. If he is not, he fades. And this, too, is information. Because what you are doing now is not reducing love. You are removing illusion. You are no longer feeding desire with reassurance. You are letting desire emerge from absence that has meaning. And this is the crucial distinction. Absence without bitterness. Distance without punishment. Space without emotional withdrawal. You are still warm, still open, but now you are selective. Jung said that what is chosen becomes conscious. And when you choose yourself, the entire dynamic reorganizes around that choice. He does not miss you because you are gone. He misses you because you are no longer orbiting him. And that changes everything. We are moving into the deepest layer next, where this shift becomes permanent, not situational. There is a subtle but decisive moment when this dynamic stops being temporary and becomes irreversible. It happens when you no longer wait, not outwardly, but inwardly. Waiting is not about time. It is about posture. For a long time, even when you were silent, some part of you was still oriented toward him, still anticipating, still open in a way that hoped to be met. And hope, when unbalanced, keeps a woman energetically tethered. But now, something releases. You stop checking emotionally. You stop measuring his effort against your worth. You stop holding space for potential instead of reality. And this inner shift changes everything. Carl Jung spoke of the moment when psychic energy withdraws from an object and returns to the self. He believed this was not loss, but maturation. And when this happens in love, the connection either deepens or dissolves. Because now, you are no longer pausing your life internally for him. You are present when you are present. You are absent when you are absent. And there is no emotional apology in either state. This is what men feel most strongly, not the distance itself, but the lack of waiting energy. He senses that you are no longer standing in the doorway of the connection, listening for his steps. You are inside your own life again, moving, choosing, living. And this realization lands heavily. Because now, if he wants access to you, he must enter consciously. He cannot return casually. He cannot drift. He cannot rely on emotional elasticity. Your calm is no longer receptive in the old way. It is grounded, and grounding is confronting. Some men respond with increased presence. They feel the gravity of your self-containment and move closer, not out of fear, but out of respect. They sense that closeness with you now requires consistency, clarity, and effort. Others hesitate, pull back, fade, and this is where your power completes its return. Because you do not chase either response. You understand now that your role is not to keep the connection alive, but to remain alive within yourself. Jung said that relationships end not when love disappears, but when illusion collapses. And when you stop waiting, illusion has no place to hide. You are no longer hoping he will realize your value. You are embodying it. An embodiment is felt immediately. Your voice carries less urgency. Your presence carries more depth. Your absence carries clarity. He feels that you are no longer available for emotional half-measures. That your openness is no longer unconditional. It is conscious. And this creates a final shift. He either meets you or loses you. Not dramatically, not painfully, but truthfully. Because now, your energy is no longer negotiable. You are not distancing to be missed. You are living so fully inside yourself that missing you becomes unavoidable. And from this place, desire is no longer something you seek. It is something that responds to you. The final layer is coming, where this energy becomes your natural state, not a phase. Stay with me. There is a stage where this transformation settles into your body. Not as effort, not as discipline, but as a new default. You no longer ask yourself, am I doing enough? You ask, does this feel aligned? And that question quietly changes everything. Your energy is no longer open to anyone who approaches. It is not closed, but it is filtered, not by fear, not by pride, but by awareness. Carl Jung believed that maturity begins when a person stops seeking completion outside themselves. And this maturity is not loud. It does not announce itself. It simply rearranges access. You are still warm, still capable of deep connection. But now, your energy responds only where there is readiness. And men feel this instantly. They sense that emotional access to you is no longer something they can test casually. That inconsistency no longer passes unnoticed. That half-presence no longer lands softly. Not because you criticize, but because you no longer absorb. You do not fill gaps that are not met. You do not interpret effort that isn't shown. You do not wait for clarity from confusion. Your calm becomes discerning. This is the moment where desire either stabilizes or disappears. A man who is emotionally capable feels drawn closer here. He senses that being with you now requires integrity. That proximity to you sharpens him rather than soothes him. And this awakens respect that is no longer fragile. But a man who relied on your flexibility feels blocked. Not rejected, exposed. Because your energy no longer adapts to his unreadiness. And this is where many women used to retreat. They would soften again, explain, reopen prematurely, restore access out of empathy. But you don't do that anymore, because now you understand. Empathy without boundaries becomes self-erasure. Jung warned that when we abandon ourselves for connection, the shadow takes over. Resentment, exhaustion, quiet grief. And you have felt that shadow before. Now, you choose differently. You allow silence to speak. You allow behavior to reveal itself. You allow distance to clarify. And in doing so, you become a woman whose presence requires presence. You are no longer emotionally reachable by confusion. You are no longer attracted to intensity without stability. You are no longer moved by potential alone. Your energy has become self-honoring. And this is where the deepest form of attraction emerges. Not the desire to possess you, but the desire to rise to you. Because now, being close to you is not about comfort. It is about coherence. And coherence is rare. This is not something you perform. It is something you embody. And from here, the final truth begins to reveal itself. The truth that makes this shift permanent, natural, and unshakable. One last layer remains. At a certain point, something settles so deeply inside you that it no longer feels like a technique, a phase, or a conscious choice. It feels like truth. You no longer ask yourself how to be missed. You no longer calculate distance. You no longer monitor reactions. Because now, your energy is aligned with who you are, not with who you hope someone else will become. This is where everything becomes effortless. Carl Jung called this state inner coherence, when the inner world and outer behavior no longer contradict each other. And when a woman reaches this coherence, her presence becomes unmistakable. You are no longer holding back to be valued. You are no longer giving forward to be chosen. You are simply living from yourself. And that is the moment when missing you stops being situational and becomes inevitable. Because now, you are not creating space. You are space. Your life has rhythm again. Your attention has direction. Your emotions have sovereignty. You no longer feel the urge to prove warmth. You no longer fear silence. You no longer collapse inward when someone hesitates. And men feel this immediately, not as distance, but as finality. They sense that your energy is no longer elastic, that it does not stretch to accommodate uncertainty, that it does not wait to be defined by someone else's readiness. This is deeply attractive and deeply confronting, because now there is no illusion of endless access. A man understands, instinctively, that closeness with you requires maturity, that staying connected requires presence, that being casual where you are intentional will cost him something real. And here is the most important truth of all. You are no longer trying to be remembered. You are becoming irreplaceable. Jung believed that what is individuated cannot be duplicated, and you are no longer fragmented across expectations, roles, or emotional labor. You are whole. Whole women are not chased. They are recognized. Some men will feel drawn but unable to approach. Others will step forward with clarity and respect, and some will disappear quietly. And none of this destabilizes you anymore. Because your sense of worth no longer depends on being chosen. It comes from choosing yourself consistently. You understand now that desire rooted in energy is not dramatic. It is calm. It is grounded. It is unmistakable. And from this place, you do not fear distance, because distance no longer threatens you. You know that what is aligned will move toward you, and what is not was never meant to stay. This is the state where your energy does the work for you, where your presence speaks without effort, where respect and desire arise naturally. Only two parts remain, where this truth is sealed, and where you step fully into the woman who no longer wonders if she will be missed. She knows. There is a quiet moment when a woman realizes she no longer asks the question, not because she got an answer, but because the question dissolved. You stop wondering if he misses you because your inner world is no longer organized around being missed. This is the moment your power becomes complete. Carl Jung wrote that freedom begins when the psyche stops circling the same unresolved tension. And for so long, the tension lived here. Am I enough? Am I felt? Am I valued when I am not present? But now, that tension releases. You no longer measure your impact by his response. You no longer interpret silence as a verdict. You no longer wait for emotional confirmation to breathe freely. And something extraordinary happens. Your nervous system calms. You move differently, speak differently, choose differently, not because you hardened, but because you stabilized. Men feel this shift instantly. They sense that you are no longer emotionally leaning toward them, that you are no longer invested in outcomes, that your presence is offered, not extended. And this creates a profound reversal. If he reaches, it is because he wants to, not because you are available. If he misses you, it is because your absence revealed something real, not because you engineered distance. And if he does nothing, you remain whole. This is where desire becomes irrelevant to your sense of self, and therefore most powerful in its effect. Because now, If a man misses you, it changes him, not you. He reflects, reconsiders, reorients, or he fades, and you do not follow him into absence. Jung said that the moment a woman stops abandoning herself, the world rearranges around her authenticity. And that rearrangement is not always comfortable, but it is always truthful. You are no longer available for ambiguity. You are no longer romanticizing effort that never arrives. You are no longer living in anticipation. Your life is happening now, and this is why missing you becomes unavoidable. Because you are no longer trying to be unforgettable. You are being fully present in your own existence. And presence, when it is real, leaves a trace. He remembers you not because you withheld, but because you were complete. And this is the moment when you finally understand. The goal was never to make him miss you. The goal was to return to yourself so completely that being missed no longer defines you. One final part remains, where everything closes, not with longing, but with certainty. And here we arrive, not at an ending, but at a return. There is a version of you who no longer wonders where she stands. A woman who does not calculate distance, silence, or response time. A woman whose energy no longer leaks outward in the hope of being held. She is here now. Carl Jung called this moment individuation, the point where a woman stops living from expectation and begins living from truth. Not the truth she was taught, but the truth she felt all along and finally allowed herself to honor. You no longer create distance to awaken desire. You carry presence that makes desire inevitable. You no longer fear being forgotten. You are too rooted to disappear from yourself. And this is what changes everything. When a man misses you now, it is not because you withdrew. It is because he encountered a woman who was not trying to be chosen. Your warmth is no longer performative. Your silence is no longer defensive. Your boundaries are no longer reactions. They are expressions of self-respect. You have learned the most important lesson of all. Energy does not chase. Energy radiates. And when you radiate from wholeness, you become unforgettable, not because you demand attention, but because your presence leaves an imprint. Some men will feel this and rise. Some will feel it and retreat. And you no longer mistake either outcome for failure. Because now, you are not seeking validation. You are living alignment. Jung said that what is aligned within no longer negotiates itself outward. And you no longer negotiate your worth, your rhythm, or your depth. You simply live. And from this place, you understand something quietly powerful. If he misses you, it is because you mattered. If he doesn't, it is because he never truly met you. And neither truth diminishes you. Because the woman you have become does not need to be missed to feel whole. She does not need pursuit to feel valuable. She does not need reaction to feel real. She is already chosen, by herself, and that choice changes the way the world responds to her forever. This is not distance. This is dignity. This is not a method. This is a way of being. And once you step into it, you never go back.